Alabama, Oak Top, Mississippi, Possum Point, Georgia, Miami.
Who's Amy?
Miami.
Hey, you mean your Amy?
Bo Hunkers.
Bo Hookers?
Bo Hunkers.
Bo Hunkers?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Hoboken.
Hoboken. Oh, well, Mr. Conductor, I want to go to Hot Town.
Hot Town?
Yes, sir.
That's the last stop.
Last-
All aboard.
All right, sir.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Today we're going to be playing some Crime and Punishment. Without further ado, let's get into it. That's not it. There we go. Welcome. Yes. We may have some people joining us. Maybe, maybe not. Meanwhile, okay, how are we doing for volume? Check, check, check. Everything looks good. So let's get right into the game. Yep, okay. 1984. Now, as a reminder, there may be sensitive cases. If there are sensitive cases, we will quickly rush past them. We will issue a 99-year prison sentence and get on to the next case as fast as possible. So, if you see something sensitive, please rest assured I will judge whether it is a 99-year sentence or whether it should go to trial. All right. Let's dive in. And please feel free to play along. Join in on the chat and tell me what your thoughts are. I will never ask you to smash or like or subscribe. I'm just happy if you watch and enjoy. Court is now in session. Your rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information you choose. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of securities fraud. Interesting. Let's look at the details of the crime. We'll look at the demographics. The offender is a 41-year-old Caucasian male. The victims are the state and the people. Securities fraud. Securities fraud. 41-year-old male. The offender-victim relationship. Society is the victim. Weapon used, physical injury. No personal injury. Property damage or loss. $500,000. $500,000. The excuse given for this crime. The offender said he needed money for a friend's sex change operation. Okay. Wow. I feel bad for Translator Kun. Translator is really fighting to keep up these days. Good luck, Translator. $500,000. What's securities fraud? Let's look at the offender's criminal record. We're going to look at adult prior crime types. Prior crimes include drunk driving, prior arrests and convictions, 2 arrests, 1 conviction. The fugitive status on the day of the crime. The offender is wanted by the FBI. Pre-sentence report. Personal details. The offender is unmarried, shoots dope, and is a self-educated citizen. The employment history. The offender is a software distributor. Courtroom prosecution details. The defendant says, "I'm sorry." The defendant was defended by a private attorney. Let's review the known facts. In the crime of securities fraud, property damage or loss was $500,000. Society is the victim. No personal injury. The offender is a 41-year-old male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he needed money for a friend's sex change operation. The offender is wanted by the FBI. Prior crimes include drunk driving, 2 recorded prior arrests, 1 recorded prior conviction. The defendant says, "I'm sorry." The defendant was defended by a private attorney. The offender is unmarried, shoots dope, and is a self-educated citizen. The offender is a software distributor. And let's reach a decision on this. Securities fraud is a federal crime. So let's say prison. $500,000. He said he was sorry. So let's give him 3 years of prison. 3 years of prison. Alright, let's see how we scored. We got us our first symmetrical duck award. That's amazing. Let's just... We got us our first symmetrical duck award. There we go. Look at that. We got us a symmetrical duck award. Good job, team. Symmetrical duck award. All right, we're off to a great start. We're off to a great start. So in the crime of securities fraud, I said 3 months of prison. Fake alternate Earth 1984 Green Judge Wapner. Said 2 years and 11 months. We were pretty much equal. And this is a symmetrical duck. Hooray, 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 hooray. Let's see how many gavels we got. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 gavels. There's no judge you can't match. You should be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Well, thank you. That's great. We have one symmetrical duck award already. One case, one award. We are batting 100. We are batting 1,000. We are batting 1,000. Okay, here we go. Now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. We got a symmetrical duck. I'm so proud of us. Ooh, the defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of arson. Let's look at the details of the crime. And we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 34-year-old white Catholic male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship. The offender did not think anyone would be hurt. Well, that's no excuse. Speaking of excuse, let's look at his excuse. The offender said he did it for publicity. Publicity, eh? Alright, let's look at weapon-used physical injury. There was no personal injury. Property damage or loss was $22,000. Alright. Said he did it for the publicity. The offender's criminal record. And we're going to look at the adult prior crime types. The offender has also committed white-collar crimes. I want to check something out. Let me just check something out here. Excellent. Okay. Sorry, I had to check that out. Back into the game. The offender has also committed white-collar crimes. Prior arrests and convictions, or prior arrests to prior convictions. Fugitive status on the day of the crime. The offender was released on his own recognizance. Let's look at the pre-sentence report and his personal details. The offender is widowed, doesn't drink, and has a high school equivalence diploma. His employment history is that he is a white-collar worker. Did we go through these? The courtroom prosecution details. The defendant was The defendant was convicted by a jury. The media blasts soft judges. Well, seems he's guilty. Let's reach a decision. No, let's review the known facts. Arson. Property damage or loss was $22,000. The offender didn't think anyone would be hurt. There was no personal injury. The offender is a 34-year-old man. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he did it for publicity. The offender was released on his own recognizance. The offender has also committed white-collar crimes. Recorded priors are 4 arrests and 2 convictions. The defendant was convicted by a jury. The media blasts soft judges. The offender is widowed, doesn't drink, and has a high school equivalence diploma. The offender is a white-collar worker. Well, let's reach a decision. Arson is a crime worthy of prison. I'll sentence him to 2 years of prison. There was only $20,000 worth of damage and no one else was injured. 2 years of prison. Ooh, judge said 1 year of prison. Well, these things happen. Only 1 gavel. Perhaps you should study medicine. Alright, let's take a quick break. We will return in a moment. Have yourself a hydration check while we're doing this. And we're back. Okay. Hi, everybody. Oof, we've got a bit of a an issue on here, so let's just there. Okay. It does that from time to time. I'm not certain why. Okay. Well, now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of setting a false alarm. Let's look at the details of the crime. We're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 24-year-old Native American woman. The victims are the state and the people. The excuse given for the crime. Oh wait, no. Sorry. Oh, property damage or loss. Oh. Didn't mean to hit that button. Property damage or loss was $1,890. The offender-victim relationship. The offender gave no thought to any of the victims. The weapon used and physical injury. No personal injury. And the excuse given for the crime. Seems the game is buggy. Tell you what, let's reload. Let's reload. Let's not even. Let's sentence, and then we will reload. Yeah, it's... Oh, I know what I did. I know what I did. I did something. I did something, and I apologize. But we're gonna fire it right back up. Gonna fire it right back up. Excellent. Okay. Sorry about that. There was a little bit of technical difficulty. I had something plugged in that should not have been. I think it was interfering with a lot of what was going on. I unplugged it. Things seem to be clearing up. However, with that said, it really screwed up a few things. Take a look at how fast the translation is. I wonder if it affected the translation. That's possible. It might have affected the translation. I'll keep that in mind for the future. Anyway, hey, we're back. So that was the crime of arson, but the game was becoming faulty. So we'll let that one slide and we'll go into the next game. How's everyone doing today? I went down to the farmer's market earlier. There was a lot of vegetables, but there was also a lot of rain. So I left the farmer's market early. There was nothing there for me. Okay. I thought I would drive to Toronto this weekend. And as soon as I hit the highway, I decided to not drive to Toronto. Traffic was pretty thick. Okay, we are back into the game. Court is now in session. Your rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information you choose. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of smuggling. Let's look at the details of the crime, and we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 63-year-old white male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship. The offender said that the victims should have been more careful. Weapon used in physical injury, none. Property damage or loss was $33,000. The excuse given for the crime, the offender said he didn't do it. Alright, so he's pleading innocence. Smuggling, $33,000. Let's look at the criminal record. Pardon me. And adult prior crime type. Specific crime type information is unavailable. Arrests and convictions, 0 and 0. So this guy's pretty clean. Fugitive status on the day of the crime. Arizona wants him. Arizona. Huh. Alright. Smuggling, $33,000. Let's look at pre-sentence report. And we'll go to personal details. Oh, pardon me. I'm still tired. The offender is soon to be wed, drinks a lot of tea, and is a merit scholar. The employment history. The offender is a police officer. Ooh. The offender is a police officer. Well, that's not good. Courtroom prosecution details. The defendant was held in contempt of court. Priests speak out on the defendant's behalf. Huh. Well, that's interesting. All right. Well, let's review the known facts. Actually, wait, one more. I want to see what the offender's reputation is. The offender is active in politics. Nah, that's boring. Let's review the known facts. Smuggling. Property damage or loss was $33,000. The offender said that the victims should have been more careful. There was no personal injury. The offender is 63 years old. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he didn't do it. Arizona wants him. The offender is active in politics. He has no recorded prior crimes. The defendant was held in contempt of court. That's not good. Priests speak out on the defendant's behalf. The offender is soon to be wed, drinks a lot of tea, and is a merit scholar. And the offender is a police officer. Ow. Sorry. Okay. Let's reach a decision. Smuggling. Smuggling is bad. I think smuggling can be a 2-year jail sentence. Like $33,000. I think smuggling is a 2-year jail sentence. But he's a police officer. He should know better. So instead of 2 years of jail, I'm going to go with 3.5 years of jail. So that's 42 months. 42 months of jail. 3.5 years. Alright, let's see how he scored. 10 years of prison. I wasn't expecting that. Alright, let's see how he did. Only 3 gavels. You're not ready for this court. You'd be more comfortable on a different bench in Central Park. Only 3 gavels. Gavel. Alright. Well, we didn't do great, but these things happen. Now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. Ooh, look at this. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of criminal impersonation. Yeah, that's weird. The details of this crime. And we're going to look at demographics. The offender is a 36-year-old Caucasian male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship. Any victims were a mere statistic in the offender's eyes. The weapon used in physical injury, there was none. Property damage or loss, $1,245. The excuse given for this crime. The offender said he needed money to support a drug habit. The offender's criminal record. The adult prior crime types they include felonies, prior arrests and convictions, 2 prior recorded arrests, 1 prior recorded conviction. Fugitive status on the day of the crime. The offender left a drug detoxification program. The pre-sentence report. Let's look at his personal details. The offender is widowed, smokes cigars, and is an expellee from a reformatory. The employment history is that the offender has a steady job. Courtroom prosecution details. The probation officer recommends probation. Good job, probation officer. Mayoral candidate calls this a test case for the system. Alright, let's review the known facts. Criminal impersonation. Property damage or loss was $1,245. Any victims were a mere statistic in the offender's eyes. No personal injury. The offender is 36-year-old male. The offender said he needed money to support a drug habit. The offender left a drug detoxification on the day of the crime. Prior crimes include felonies, 1 conviction, 2 arrests. The probation officer recommends probation. Mayoral candidate calls this a test case for the system. The offender is widowed, smokes cigars, and is an expellee from a reformatory. The offender has a steady job. Let's reach a decision. Criminal impersonation. That's only $1,000. I say jail. I say jail for 3 months. 3 months of jail, yeah. Alright, let's do this. The program crashed. Gosh darn it. So... I guess these things happen. Oh, what's that? Okay. Let's load up a snapshot and see if that's a little faster or even a little more stable. Okay. We're gonna rush through this first case. Now we're gonna hop back into it. Let's see how we do. Oof, that's a sensitive case. And now we have a new case. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of murder. Details of the crime. Let's look at the demographics. The offender is a 62-year-old. The offender is a 62-year-old black Protestant male. The victim was a 30-year-old black Protestant woman. The offender-victim relationship, they were friends. Tomodachi. The property damage or loss was $1,445. The weapon used in physical injury. The victim was thrown off a roof. The victim was thrown off a roof. Well, the excuse given for the crime, the offender said he was upset at his mother's death. He was upset at his mother's death, so he threw his friend off a roof. I guess. Well, let's look at the criminal record. Adult prior crime types include vandalism, prior arrests and convictions. Ooh. 12 arrests, 6 convictions. Fugitive status on the day of the crime. The offender is an escaped mental patient. Whew. With these types of crimes, I like to delve a little deeper. And so we're going to look at the offender's reputation. The offender is active in politics. We're going to look at the pre-sentence report. We're going to look at the personal details. This 62-year-old man is separated, is habitually drunk, and is a self-taught person. His employment history is that he is a part-time college ethics professor. The courtroom prosecution details. Evidence showed that the defendant was easily led by his friends. The press was excluded from the courtroom. And let's look at the offender's mental history. The offender has low self-esteem, and his upbringing. The offender was an only child and was born in Australia. Okay. With that, for the case of murder. Well, let's review the known facts. Property damage or loss was $1,445. The offender and victim were friends. The victim was thrown off a roof. The offender is a 62-year-old male. The victim was a 30-year-old woman. The offender said he was upset at his mother's death. The offender is an escaped mental patient. The offender is active in politics. Prior crimes include vandalism. 12 recorded arrests, 6 recorded convictions. The evidence showed that the defendant was easily led by his friends. The press was excluded from the courtroom. The offender was an only child and was born in Australia. The offender has low self-esteem. The offender is separated, is habitually drunk, and is a self-taught person. The offender is a part-time college ethics professor. And there we have it. Do we choose the death penalty? Never. However, he is going to prison. How long will he be in prison for? He threw his friend off a roof and she was 30 years old. She could have lived to the age of 100. Ugh. So let's give him a sentence of 70 years in prison. 70 is a good 70 is a good number. That's about it. I mean, He's an escaped mental patient. And he was grieving. But that shouldn't have. Just because you're grieving at death doesn't mean that you take the life of another. Alright. We'll put it at 50 years of prison. 50 years of prison. Hopefully he gets rehabilitated. I have faith he could come out earlier with time for good behavior. But he has to put in that time. Judge said 23 years, 11 months. You okay? You received only 4 gavels. You might be ready to handle traffic court. Try some more cases to improve your score. And it's the top of the hour. Ooh. I think we should end it here. We got in some good cases. Today we learned a few things about the American judicial system in 1984. And we also learned that my system does not like having translation running while a controller is plugged in. We've learned a lot today. Okay. Oh, so I can't seem to stop yawning. So I might just take a nap. Well, everyone, we got 1 symmetrical duck award on the day. It's not much, but I'll take a symmetrical duck award any day. Everyone, thanks for watching.
Hello, folks. You know, I've been picking and trying to pick up banjos for 40 years or more. I used to just play the imitations, but now I'm going to give you a little of the variations of Casey Jones. Man. Now, folks, I'm going to give you a little of Old Dan Tucker, containing more heterogeneous constant policy, double flavor, and unknown quality than usual. His frying pan, a comb his head with the wagon wheel, died the toothache in his heel. God, away old Dan Tucker, he comes to horse had grace over his dinner. The old hog squealed, the pig did squall. Him old hog with tail and all. By the way, old Dan Tucker, he come too late to get your supper. Got on a drunk, fell in the fire and kicked up a chunk charcoal, got inside the shoe. Lord bless you, honey, how the ashes flew. By the way, old Dan Tucker, he come too late to get your supper. Here's the booze and Choctaw cider, lemon extract and old Budweiser. Horse said it's bitter than the doctor's tonic. The good book said a little good for the stomach.